in order to continue and understand this Freudian ideology, we have to go to something that attends to the Freudian nature and the ego and the ID, and that is Andrew Tate. So, if you didn't know, Andrew Tate was basically banned from every platform, every social media platform possible. I think the only place I didn't hear that he got banned from was Twitch, which that's surprising because I heard it was Instagram, it was Facebook, uh, TikTok, YouTube. He was basically banned from every single platform just for the ideologies and things that he was saying. Um, but as it seems, as of right now, he's actually come back out and he's on, I believe he's streaming on a platform called Rumble. I have never heard of it before in my life, but honestly, just my own opinion of the guy, I feel like he, and this is gonna sound like I don't know, like a typical robot, typical male point of view, but I mean, whenever, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna just say that the thing that they're doing with Andrew Tate is the same thing they tried to do with Kevin Samuel. It's the same thing that they tried to do with, I don't know, just any male figure that has their own way of trying to instill a type of ideology of a movement for men. They try to cancel that out. Um, do I agree with some of the things that he says? Yeah, sure. I mean, I feel like a lot of some of the things that he says that have to do with, like, men's mental health and just being able to have like a stronger mindset and believing things can be, those positive mindsets. I totally agree with the things that he says. I generally, when it comes to, the things about females and what he said about females, I don't agree with it. But then again, I've always looked at all the stuff he's done as just, I've always looked at it as at Andrew Tate as a character, bro. Like, I've never really truly taken a lot of the controversial things he said serious in any vein. Um, and that's where the Freudian ideology comes in. And I believe he is exactly that. I believe that he went from the ID factor to the ego factor. And thus we are in the super ego factor. So I just want to go ahead and react to like his newest episode of his pod. I believe it's called Emergency Meeting.
The Matrix is attacking this stream as we speak. The Matrix is afraid. Tristan, they fired their biggest weapon at us. They looked at us and thought they have too much power, too much influence. Let's hit them with the most powerful weapon we have. Let's cancel them. Let's close all their accounts. Let's make them vanish. Let's destroy their influence. That's the biggest bullet they have. Imagine shooting a man with your last bullet, and he stands there, unfazed.
Do I look canceled?
From what I could see,
I'm not gonna lie, they on 10 right now. Like, bro, he's on 10 right now. He's on I don't know what I don't know if he took an energy drink or something, but he is yeah, he's for somebody who got banned on everything, he doesn't seem like he's in a bad, in a bad space.
See, we have 70,000 people watching us. I don't feel canceled. Do you feel canceled?
Well, isn't that triple the number of our largest ever stream up until this point with Emergency Meeting Live?
They have made martyrs of us. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you the mistake they have made. This is the only time in human history where the betas of Earth had power over the alphas. Before this, they had no power, but now they have a little bit of power. They can cancel you. That's what they can do. They can come along and cancel you. And everyone they've canceled so far ended up canceled. So they thought they could cancel the top G. It's the weapon that always works. They fired the bullet that never fails. It bounced off of my skin, and here I am. I still emerge more powerful than ever before. There is a large contingent of the population. There's a large contingent of men out there who don't want to wear makeup, who don't want to be girls, who don't want to be told they're toxic because they want to go to the gym, who want to drive nice cars, who want to have money, who want to have hot chicks. And there's nothing wrong with us. We are not evil. We are not bad. We're not misogynistic. We're not out to hurt anybody. Let me tell you one more thing. When bad things happen, they call men like us. The feminists who hate us and call us toxic, the second they have trouble, they'll call a police officer. Do you think they want a feminist male to turn up or a man like me and you?
Man, I'm gonna be honest, bro. He's spitting rapid fire right now. The bad thing about canceling somebody like him is that you cut off his head and now he's grown another head. You cut off like this, you cut his head off of his neck and he's gonna grow another head. Now that he's been canceled off of every platform, practically every social media platform, now it feels like it's even gonna be even harder to stop this from stop him as a person from getting whatever message out. As I stated before, they've tried this with other creators who were males who had certain points to make. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it's because of the way he looks or what, but I keep forgetting that he's black. I think that's the main thing. I forget that he's a black man. To this point, they've done all the social engineering they could do to like try to cut the legs from under this man, and he's basically coming back and saying, "Hey, y'all thought y'all got me, but I'm about to go from 0 to 100 real quick in the second version of this get back of this new essence I got going on. And if I got to be on another platform to do it, I'm gonna do it."
They need us and they use us. But the second we have an opinion, the second I decide to voice and talk about the things that we talk about, explain our points of view, they want to cancel us. They don't want us to speak. They just want us to defend them, build the railroads, build the roads, be the workhorses, be the slaves. And they think we're not allowed a point of view. Well, they made a fucking mistake because I, like every great leader throughout history, charge first before my army, cavalry charge at the enemy. You can cancel me. I'm about to pave the road for every other man out here with an opinion who's going to get canceled. I'll show you where to fucking go. Bro, let's get ready to rumble.
Controversial influencer and
Man, that sounds like a man like, whew, yeah. That's just part of his. I guess you would call it a pod. I guess that's his podcast with his brother, Tristan. And then I also want to look at he had a whole interview with Tucker Carlson. I don't watch Fox News at all, but I mean, I want to take a look at that as well as his final video on the YouTube platform that he had did. So going into this, yeah, watch it. with no problems.
young men 22, 23, 24 were looking up to me, and I don't really feel like I've exposed anything. Like, I'm truly not a very political person. This is the first time someone's experienced this level of ban. I'm not particularly right wing. I don't vote. I mean, I obviously have my own personal views, but they didn't ban me for that. They banned me simply because I had large swaths of the population agreeing to very traditional masculine values. Teenage men and young men, 22, 23, 24, were looking up to me and aspiring to be like me. I have a very traditionally masculine life. I have fast cars and a big house and a lot of money and a beautiful girlfriend. And they thought this was very, very threatening. And for some reason, they decided.
It's not that it was very, very threatening with your money and your cars and the women you. I feel like there were people on the internet who decided to take his content and just chop it up and make their own narrative of it. Just like he said in his final video, he said that they were taking the long form videos that he had, and they weren't watching the long form videos. They were watching the short form videos, and the videos that got chopped down to where it made it look like he said certain things that he didn't say, because they chopped it down and made it sound like, oh, it was this, but it was something else. It wasn't that. It was other things that he was actually saying that was getting ignored because nobody actually went and watched the long form videos that he had. I believe that's what started this whole entire thing. It wasn't about the lifestyle he led. It was the way people were chopping down the things he was actually saying into smaller form videos, into things that he didn't necessarily say, and turning it into a whole nother thing of that had its own problematic value to it.
Decided that it's better if they annihilate me from the internet and replace me with somebody who's more aligned with whatever they're trying to purport.
Tell us what your message is to young men.
Yeah, so I think that being a man is very, very difficult. I think that men's issues are largely overlooked. The people in charge of the world pretend to care, but when somebody who's championing men's issues like myself comes forward and finally manages to garner huge percentiles of the public support, I'm silenced. So they're not really interested in men's issues. And there's a lot of young men growing up today that feel very disaffected. They feel invisible. The agendas that are being forced down their throats are not agendas they align with, or they feel affinity to, or agendas they want. And I basically just say to men, look, it's a very hard life. You're going to need to get up, work hard, go to the gym. Strong body is a strong mind. You're going to have to reject listening blindly to everything you're told, reject the slave mind, think for yourself, get a strong network of brothers, work aside them. Don't tolerate low-quality people in your life, which means don't tolerate men who just smoke drugs and play video games, or men who are disloyal or dishonest. By extension, don't tolerate women or girlfriends who are disloyal or dishonest, and try and build and create a reality full of high-quality people in which you can resist the programming that the Matrix tries to influence you with.
And that's where it starts to get a little bit like, okay, I don't know. I don't necessarily know, because I mean, some of it is like, okay, yeah, I see where he's coming from. And then other parts of it is just like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. You know? I don't know. Like I said, I keep forgetting that this man is black. This is a black man. And some people like compare him to Kevin Samuels. They're different. I feel like the difference between him and Kevin Samuels is like Kevin Samuels. The war between men and women is so stupid. It's so senseless. It's like, what are we really fighting for? It makes no, bro. It makes no sense. There's so much BS on both sides of this game, of this spectrum, of this world we live in, of this life where we breathe in the same air have the same red blood coming out of our system. Like it's very apparent that there has been a war. I don't want to say on men, but when we he's not wrong about I feel like he's not wrong about the issues with men. Like when men's issues come up, I feel like when men's issues get talked about, it's just like it's laughable. Like how would you like like just like a man's mental health and how that I don't feel like that's taken very seriously, or a man feeling like the love that a woman has for him isn't for real. Like if I had all the money in the world and I had a girlfriend who was with me for my money aspects and not for my love, kind of sort of stuff like that in a sort of way. There are different issues that there are different trials and tribulations that men go through that don't get talked about enough. And as I stated before, like we don't have it's easy for women to have, you know, um talking heads that represent them and feminists and this and that. But for men, it's like we're not really allowed to have that, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that he speaks for every single man. Don't get me wrong, because he doesn't. There are different talking heads that represent men as well. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest and say you can't count him out because he has some talking points that I feel like are exclusively geared towards men, even if like in some sort of way, like because like I said, I feel like all of this is a character, and to a certain degree, a lot of the things that he be saying is like just to enthuse this Freudian character that he has put on put out to the media, whether it be the internet or social media, whichever have you. Um, that's just how I feel about it, for real.
And grow up truly happy. And what happens is when I say these things, they ignore 95% of what I say. They ignore me saying that you need to avoid low quality men. And they take the bit where I say avoid women who are dishonest. And then they put it on a reel, a very short 3 or 4 second clip. And then they say I'm a misogynistic person and I'm dangerous to women and I need to be banned. The problem is that the majority of young men in the world today are completely invisible. And social media has made them invisible. If you go into an Instagram feed, you have extremely beautiful women, which is fine. They're beautiful. They're allowed to take pictures. But the only men who have followers are men with massive social status, right? Men with Ferraris and money, or rappers, or people who have YouTube channels, interesting people. If you're a normal man with a normal job, you don't really exist in the online world. It's very difficult to get followers. Nobody replies to your DMs. You don't really matter. You don't have access to the sexual marketplace. It's very difficult for you to even get any kind of recognition that you're even alive.
That's crazy because he's actually right about that. A good amount of social media is just like people with money. A regular person with a job is not looked at like uh, some type of superficial, some type of like superhuman being because they have a regular job and make regular money and work 40 hours a week, versus three rappers who are in their 20s rocking chains and throwing money in the air and hanging around a lot of bad, you know what I'm saying, baddies because they're rappers. I dig what he's saying there. I get what he's saying.
And a lot of men feel lost and lonely because of that. And I was championing to a degree their issues by saying to them, look, that is unfair perhaps, but that's the way the game works. You need to become a man of importance. You need to become a man of influence, or you're going to suffer the pain of being invisible forever. Here is how you do it. I wasn't trying to change the rules of the game. I was just telling the men how to win because I came from nothing and I'm completely and utterly self-made. And I think the reason a lot of men are so depressed is because they feel invisible. They feel like the life is too hard. Women expect me to be strong and smart and funny and interesting with a nice apartment and a fast car and tall and well connected and funny, and it's just too much for them to handle. And the social pressure on men is absolutely immense. And I was championing their issues. And at the same time, all these social media platforms pretend to care. As soon as somebody they resonate with stands up and champions their issues, they mass blanket ban me, which shows they have absolutely no care for the young men of the world today. They think that by banning me, I'm just going to vanish, and the young men are just going to go and start eating the gruel that they're fed on their YouTube feed. They don't want to read. They don't want to see transgender people wear makeup. They don't want to see that. They want to see a man who has a bunch of money and a nice life and some fast cars and is strong and is confident. They want an action hero, and that's something that large portions of the world still want to be. And YouTube and social media platforms obviously just don't like the idea of that. They want to get rid of me and try and replace me with something they see as far more malleable, trying to create people which are more malleable and more easy to program and more easy to control.
So news accounts in the United States say that the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest, Romania.
Well, I mean, like I said, I see where he's coming from. I don't agree with every single solitary syllable of vowels that he is saying. But a good amount of it, drives home a point of respectability for men. Respectability for men. And that's what I get when we go back to talking about Kevin Samuels. Just the everyday working man needs to be respected. You know what I'm saying? Like, the everyday working man deserves his respect as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, the man who works 40 hours a week, they deserve the good life too. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way he's saying it is a little bit more. It might come off a sort of way, of course, but I mean, to a certain degree, that's basically the same thing he's saying. Basically, the same thing he's saying.
Was tipped off to your misdeeds and alerted the local authorities you might be committing human trafficking. Given that this is the same charge they leveled against Julian Assange or a species of it, skeptical, but I want to know the details. Were you arrested for human trafficking? What happened?
Yeah, I was not arrested. So what happened is I suffered from a case of swatting. It's very popular with people who are large on the internet. Many large YouTubers have been swatted. It's where you call the police and you say somebody has a gun or there's a hostage situation and the SWAT team arrives. Somebody made a phone call to the American embassy saying that I was holding women at my house. The police arrived. And let me state this now. I state this openly to the world. I have absolute respect for the police. I would hate to live in a country where if you call the police saying women are being held against their will, that the police don't respond. That would be terrible. Of course they should come and look. Absolutely. They turned up. They investigated. They realized that nobody was in the house against their will. There was no crime committed. They said, okay, you're not a suspect, but you are a witness to this, along with me, my brother, the housekeeper, the gardener. Everybody who was in the premises at the time was labeled a witness. We had to go to the police station for 45 minutes for pieces of paper. We filled them in and we were let go. I was swatted. Nobody was hurt. There's no human trafficking. There's no women who were tied up. There's none of these things. It's all just complete fallacy.
You probably made some of these companies mad with your views on COVID. So sum up for us, if you would.
And there lies the problem. The C word. I think I'm gonna stop there because I don't want this portion of it to get, whatever, what have you. Oops. I don't want it to get, whatever, but just in general, this is a lesson that I think everybody should learn from, that even if you block somebody, the comeback for this, for any person, and especially when it's a man that um putting out this message, it might not it the way the message is delivered might be very coming off as asshole ish, maybe. But a lot of the stuff, quite a few things that are being said are true. The things about men's mental health and the ideology of just a man being a man, letting a man be a man, regular men who work 9 to 5 and work 40 hours should be appreciated, just like the men who make uh, uh, millions and millions of dollars and drive fast cars and go out with uh, supermodels and things of that nature. They deserve to be in that bracket as well. Like I said, it's kind of like a previous figure or spearhead, but his, the message is said a little differently, and some things are different the way this person said it versus how he said it. But all in all, it all comes back down to men don't have any real representation like that. We don't really have any real representation. Don't even get me started with black men. Black men, we don't have real representation like that. We don't really have like a a committee of talking heads that represent us like that. The way black women have a real representation of talking heads. We don't have that. So yeah, that's that's part of the Freudian nature.